Alright, hello, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tony, and I am playing Super Mario World. I was going to stop after this level, but I want to get to where I can save. And today I'm going to be doing a video that I didn't think that I was going to do. But Salem suggested that I do it and seems to think that I should, so I guess I will. I am going to be telling you guys in depth about the affair that my ex-husband had in 2016, because I honestly feel like that has a lot, basically I don't think that things would have went the way that they did had this not happened. So I guess I'm going to get pretty pretty real about everything. So basically what happened is, it was 2016. We had lived in our house that we live in now for about 3 years. Our kids were, Salem was 10, Lucas was 6, and so Matthew would have been 14. And the kids did not have any idea that any of this was happening the entire time. Honestly, no one did. Because, well, I'll get to that. I did tell a few people, but not very many. So anyway, I had absolutely no idea that anything was going on. I will say my ex-husband was sleeping in a different bedroom than me, but his reasoning was that we did have a terrible mattress. I will tell you that we ended up getting a new mattress after the affair was over. But we had a terrible mattress, and he does have back issues. So when he wanted to sleep in the bedroom with the good mattress, I didn't really think anything of it. It wasn't, a huge deal to me. And so I had already said this in one of my other videos, but essentially we had been on a cell phone plan with one of my friends, and we didn't like the plan, not because there was anything specifically wrong with it, but simply because it wasn't the service wasn't great because of our proximity to Canada. It just made it difficult, I guess. I don't know, whatever. Anyway, we wanted to be on our own cell phone plan. So we ended up switching from Sprint to Verizon or something like that. And we were checking out the app that you can go on where you look at your bill and all that kind of stuff. And there was a phone, we noticed that you could click on each individual line, and you could find phone calls and texts and stuff. And there was a phone number that happened to be on my husband's line a bunch of times. And I laughed and made a joke about it being his friend Roger, because him and Roger did text a lot. Well, now I don't think him and Roger probably text nearly as much as I thought, but he told me that he was always texting Roger. And I thought nothing of it. Like I said, I was 100% clueless. I did not think anything was going on at all. Never even crossed my mind. So, but when he got weird, or when I said that it was Roger, he got weird and shifty, and he was like, "No, it's Tina from work. That's her texting me every day about parts." Well, I wasn't in any way, shape, or form suspicious of Tina at work. I had no issue with her whatsoever, which is probably why that's immediately who he went for. But what he didn't realize is he should have just said, yes, it's Roger, because Tina from work is not going to be texting him at 8 o'clock at night when there are no parts and it's not work time. Tina from work is not going to be texting him at 2 o'clock in the morning. Tina from work, you know what I mean? Tina from work is not going to be texting him at noon on a Saturday. It very clearly was not Tina from work. So if he would have just said, yes, that's Roger's number, I wouldn't have even checked. I wouldn't have even thought anything of it, and who knows how this all would have went down at that point. But he was very suspicious, and I didn't say anything. I didn't second, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't say, what are you doing? Definitely that's not, you know, I just said, oh, okay, and didn't say another word. But I did copy the number and paste it into the Facebook search bar, because I learned that trick on Baby Center when some other woman's husband was having an affair. And out popped this name, Kelly. I should say her last name, but I won't, because she also has children, and I doubt that they'll ever find my my YouTube video, but, you know, gotta protect the children, right? So, anyway, I'm so mad at this. I really don't want to die and have to, I'm gonna go get fresh lives. I'm gonna go get more lives from far away. But anyway, so so as soon as this girl popped up, I'm like, what the heck? And then right away, I'm like, oh boy, this is not a good thing. And so, you know, me being me, I made little snarky comments about this Kelly woman. And he, you know, said that she was just a friend, and, you know, did the whole thing that you do. And, one second, I just need to check something. Okay, sorry about that. I just had to check something. Let's see if I was doing something right. Anyway, so I made, you know, my little comments, and he did the whole, oh, we're just friends thing. And then eventually he admitted that something was going on, but, you know, he claimed that it was never physical, blah, blah, blah. And then he basically said that he needed to, like, figure stuff out. So he went up to his dad's house. And I, of course, I'm so mad right now. Anyway, I knew that that he was still talking to her, but he told me that he got a hold of her and told her that everything was done, blah, blah, blah. Well, of course, it turns out that wasn't true. He actually, I don't know what he said to her. He called and talked to her for a little while, and what actually happened is he told me he was done talking to her, and instead they just switched to Facebook Messenger. And I didn't realize it at the time, and he was, you know, he claimed that he was done talking to her, and that was that, so I believed him, because I'm dumb. And then, I don't know, it was a few months later, I was doing something on the computer. I don't remember if it was like during one of the times, because his company used to do layoffs for like Christmas or whatever, and he could file unemployment during that time. And I think that it was then, like, I think that, like, I made a joke about, like, I was going on his computer to do that, and I think I, like, made a joke about hacking his Facebook or something like that. Well, he got really, like, freaked out about it. And I was like, okay, I was joking. Why are we being weird? And so I didn't say anything more than that, and I just got on the computer. I went onto his Facebook. I checked his messages, and sure enough, messages from her saying, hey baby, I'm stopping at McDonald's for coffee. Do you want breakfast too? or actually, it started out with him saying, "Good morning, beautiful," and she said, "Good morning, baby. I'm getting us coffees for breakfast. Do you want, or getting us coffees? Do you want breakfast too?" And then, the conversation, I don't remember if he said yes or no, and she was like, "Okay, love you, bye," and he was like, "Love you too," and I was like, "Hold on, what is this?" So I absolutely lost my shit. Screamed, yelled, told him I was done. Clearly this is not just two people talking a little bit, you know what I mean? And he still, maintained that there wasn't anything. Well, he tried to maintain that there wasn't anything going on, but I was like, I'm not stupid, don't even try it. So then he said that they only slept together once, and that was it. And I was like, once is more than enough. I'm done. I don't want to be with you. And then he must have went up north again, because it was after I found out that they slept together that I talked to James. So he must have went up north again to figure stuff out a second time or something. I know for sure that he had to have gone back up north, because he was up north, and my friend James called me, and I hadn't talked to James in a few years. So James calling me was kind of out of the blue. And I do remember that I was very very upset, and James basically talked me down. He convinced me to not divorce my husband. But of course, at that time, my husband was more than willing to get divorced if I would let him and his girlfriend at the house. I would not. I said absolutely not. And so then all of a sudden, he didn't want to get divorced. And he is very dramatic. So instead of just whatever, he literally fully uninstalled Facebook and was super dramatic about the whole thing, and made this big deal about blocking her, and she blocked me too, so they're probably actually Facebook friends still because she blocked me. But I had ended up getting pissed, and I went through his whole entire Facebook, and I saw all the posts that they tagged each other in that I was hidden from. I saw all the messages. I saw messages to other women that he had tried to get with before her that rejected him. Stuff like that. And sorry. And oh, okay, I'm sure that I did that. But anyway, so he, once again, he claimed that they were all done, and, made a big production of all this. And honestly, at this point, I was staying mostly because James had convinced me that I should, and not even so much because I wanted to. At this point, I was kind of done. But I faked it. I smiled and pretended like I wasn't. But I very much was just over it at this point. This is twice now that he had lied about the same woman. And I kind of knew that things were still going on, but I guess I just kind of pretended like they weren't. And I had told James, I had told my best friend Jennifer, and then I had told my best friend Brenda at this point. And other than that, I had not told anyone. Brenda didn't really say or do a whole lot because we were kind of not really regularly talking. She was just kind of like, wow, that sucks. And James talked to me a lot. James and I stayed in very close touch for a long time throughout this. He definitely helped me. with a lot of this, but his wife has never been fond of him and I talking, so I think she especially didn't like that we were talking about this particular subject, but like I wasn't trying to get with her husband, I just was pissed at mine, and he was honestly kind of helping me, but I get it. Anyway, so that whole thing, that whole thing was the big, like the big blowout. And then, okay, please don't kill me. Please, please, please. I swear I already did this one. Did I not? Yeah, I did. Okay. Alright, whatever. I'm really mad that I just wasted my time with that. But anyway, so then, at this point, he was insisting that everything was done and over with between the two of them. And I genuinely didn't believe it, but I knew that there wasn't really anything that I could do about it, so I just kind of had to keep living my life. I wasn't thrilled with the whole situation. I honestly, it was a pretty dark time for me. But, at this point it had been like a year, and I wasn't, there was nothing I could do, like I didn't want to leave because I didn't want my kids to be, mostly because Salem's friend's parents had just gotten divorced, and that was really rough on Salem, and he had like this irrational fear of me and his, well, I guess it wasn't irrational, but he had like this fear that his parents were gonna get divorced, and I wasn't gonna put him through it. So I stayed, and I just kind of pretended like I believed a word that my husband said, and pretended like all was well. And I ended up, my sister called me because somebody told her, like somebody who had known our dad told her about what was going on. Actually, he asked how I was doing since the divorce, because my ex-husband was telling everybody at work that we were split up. And my sister freaked out because, what? You're telling me that my brother-in-law is like with this other woman? What are you talking about? So she freaked out. She was so upset. She was crying. Like, she called me sobbing, and I told her I already knew about it, and basically to chill, it was fine. And she was very upset. That kind of effectively ruined her opinion of my ex-husband. She was the only one of my sisters who knew at that point. Unless she told my other sisters, she may have, but if they did know, they never told me that they knew. But he, two of my friends ended up getting jobs there. And my friend Nina apparently had heard stuff, but just was like, no, they're not divorced, like none of that's true, and didn't say anything to me about it. And then my other friend saw them, and she called me, and she was so mad. Like, she was so mad that my ex-husband was doing this. Like, okay, that is not how we do this. I don't know how to, like, keep it flying like that. But anyway, so she was, like, just flaming mad that my ex-husband was doing this particular thing. And she called and woke me up, and at this point, I was over it. I was like, you know what? I've been putting up with this fucking woman and my husband for 2 years now. So I had already tried to find her husband. Like, I tried to send him a certified letter, and she returned it. I had tried to, like, send him messages on Facebook, no luck. So finally, I found his brother. And I sent him a message, and I told him exactly what was going on, and I gave him my phone number. And within minutes, the husband called me. And we talked for a while, and he apparently had, or no, it couldn't have been minutes. It could not have been minutes that he called me, because he had called her at work, and she had rushed straight home. And I don't know if my husband knew, or ex-husband, I guess, knew about it at the time. But she rushed home, of course, freaking out, and, wanting to beg for forgiveness and the whole deal. And she told him, her version, and I had my version, and it was not a fun time for her, that is for sure. But ask me if I cared, because I certainly did not. And so at this point, now this guy is like calling me all the time, trying to basically he wanted us to have a revenge affair. And I was not at all interested in that. But I got where he was coming from. I just didn't want to do that. That did not sound like my idea of a good way to handle this situation. So I was like, no dude, I'm good, but thank you. And, he, of course, poor guy, was just finding out about this. I had 2 years to get, I had 2 years to get used to this. He just found out. And so I understand why he was as upset as he was. And honestly, I really think that they still probably saw each other a lot at work. But so this was around Christmas time when all this happened with me finding out about, or with the husband finding out or whatever. And I gotta figure out how to I don't know how to fly like that, like how to keep the momentum going when you're flying. Anyway, so this was around Christmas time, and him and I, he was mad. He was my ex-husband was really mad that this girl's husband was really mad that this girl's husband was constantly messaging me. And I straight up told him, I was like, and he kept saying, 2 wrongs don't make a right, blah, 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 blah. Because this guy, like I said, he made it very, very clear that he was very, very much in for a revenge situation. And it didn't really matter that I wasn't interested in that. My husband, or ex-husband, was convinced that because that's what this guy wanted, I was going to go for it. And of course I wasn't. I had absolutely no interest in doing that. But, my ex-husband didn't believe that, He assumed that because I was angry and he was angry, we were just going to basically be angry together. And I guess I can kind of see why he would think that, but that was not going to be the situation. I'm giving up on this one, just so we're clear. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to just find a different way to get more lives, and I don't want to keep doing this. But anyway, so Valentine's Day, he comes home and tells me that for Valentine's Day he got her fired for me. Now I'm sure that he probably told me this because he knew that my friends probably knew what happened and were probably going to tell me. But essentially, he had her riding around on his high-low at work, and she got fired for it because she was not supposed to be up there, supposedly. Now, I don't know what more was happening because my one friend did tell me that he was always bringing her hot chocolates and things like that. So they were clearly still having their work relationship. They just seemed to think that that was totally fine and that it didn't matter what anybody thought. But then he apparently got her fired. I don't know if she became more trouble than she was worth or if he just, I don't know. I genuinely don't know. Maybe he didn't even intentionally get her fired. She just happened to get fired. And for all I know, they could have continued talking after that. No clue. Honestly, didn't care at this point. But then he ended up quitting, supposedly quitting. He may have gotten fired again. I have no idea. a little while later, and then he got the job that he ended up getting later, that where he got hooked on the drugs. But yeah, so I mean, essentially that is the story of my husband's affair. According to the woman's husband, they had skipped work together multiple times. They would take half days and meet in hotels. I mean, it was all sorts of stuff that was going on. Like my one friend, she told me all the stuff she had heard about them constantly taking half days, which is honestly probably why they both got fired, because they were never freaking at work. They were always off getting hotel rooms or whatever they were doing. And, of course, my husband tried to give me this sob story of how her husband was addicted to drugs and beat her, or maybe he wasn't addicted to drugs, but her husband told me that she was addicted to pills, and he said that she had to take the pills because her husband beat her so much, and just big old sob story that I'm supposed to feel bad for this woman. And it's like, buddy, I'm not going to feel bad for this woman, and I'm not going to believe a single thing that you say. And I mean, maybe her husband was terrible. I don't know him. But he was just trying to say that because he didn't want me to, he knew that he wasn't going to get the mistress because she was staying with her husband. And he didn't want me to then go hook up with the husband. I don't know. I think, I don't know. And of course, he was all, I was never in love with her. Okay, great. Well, you told her you were in love with her. Even if you weren't. You told her every single day that you loved her and that you wanted to leave me for her. I mean, I read your messages. I saw your posts. I don't care if you meant it or not. You still said it to her. You still told everybody at work that we were getting divorced and that you and her were going to be together. How long did you think you were going to keep this up for? And so I don't know. I don't know what was going through his head. I'm sure that he just liked the attention or whatever. I mean, he's never really been all that great at, whatever. So anyway, that's the story of that. And honestly, after that, it was 2018. That was when he got his new job. That was basically when he started also doing meth. And so that was essentially the end of us, is that affair. Because at that point, if I had honestly given a shit more, I might have picked up on the fact that he was doing drugs quicker. But honestly, we barely spoke or went around each other after that because I didn't really want anything to do with him after that. I was basically staying married to him because I knew that it would upset my children if I didn't. And then it got to the point where it would have upset my children if I did stay married to him. And so things ended, and we are all much better off. And he can do what he wants, and I don't have to worry about it. So anyway, thank you very much for watching this video. I think that's going to be it on my videos talking about my marriage and my ex-husband, unless something crazy happens. But thank you so much for listening or watching. Not listening. It's not a podcast. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, tell me what you thought, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.